Okay, so I'm going to take for a test drive a 2018 Jeep Wrangler Unlimited Sport. So this one has the pretty basic here. Here's the window sticker on the seat. I don't know if you can read that, but I'm going to move it here for a second. You can pause the video and check it out, hopefully. But anyways, this is going to be my first 360 video of test driving, so let's go ahead and get started. So we're at Vann, Underwood, Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, Ram. You can probably see the dealership there if you look. And we're gonna take the normal test drive that the salespeople take when demonstrating vehicles, because it is fantastic. It was developed by Vann Underwood himself, and he showed me this test drive route, and I'll kind of explain the benefits of it as we're driving, because it takes us out on the highway. It takes us on, normal little town road here, and has bumpy roads, smooth roads, all that stuff. So the camera has a little bit of a wobble with it to it, so hopefully that won't be too much of an issue. So we're downtown Whiteville, with basically on the main street that goes through the old downtown, old buildings and things on Madison Street, and we're going to go north. So as far as the Wrangler itself, it's the Unlimited, so it's the 4-door model, so it has the longer wheelbase, and this is actually a little bit longer than the previous generation Wranglers. So I'm curious as to how well that's going to stack up. Also, the transmission, I can already tell I like better. And I'm going to try to be as objective as possible, but of course I'm going to share what I like or whatever. But and it's a windy day today too, so I do have the hard top. This one has the hard top, so we can get an idea of what it sounds like while we're driving on the highway with the hard top. The soft top I haven't had any experience with yet, the new soft top, but typically those are going to be a little bit louder. So yeah, the wind is kind of gusty from here time to time. I actually feel the vehicle being swayed a little bit. Just roll the windows down just a little bit so you can hear. The wind is kicking a lot. It's been a challenge to film in this weather because of the audio issues with wind, interfering with the camera. So I have the climate control off. I'm going to put it on low. Now the Sport has the gauges are slightly different. You can see it has the radio that's more basic radio like you'd see in previous generations. It's basically the same thing as the old ones. And the climate control is basic. A lot of basic things on the Sport, which a lot of people like, basic features on a Wrangler. So this is probably what people really want to see in some cases. That was the doors locking since it went over a certain speed. So yeah, still the wind's blowing me around a little bit, and I can tell it's just kind of the length, of course, is making a difference. If you've ever driven a two-door Wrangler, then it kind of gives you that really short wheelbase has a different feel, but the long wheelbase like this one is it feels more like a regular SUV. Now I drive a Challenger, 2016 Challenger, that has basically the same engine and transmission, or the 8-speed transmission anyway, the ZF 8-speed transmission in it. So curious as to how much overlap there is with the Wrangler. The Wrangler, I'm sure, has different gear ratios and everything. But it is quiet. I mean, for being a Wrangler, without the, you notice up here, there's no headliner. So you get a slight echo of my voice. I can hear, I don't know if you can pick it up in the camera, but it's a little bit of an echo which isn't there with the headliner, the versions with the headliner. But with this one, is definitely quiet. I mean, you can hear the wind, of course, but you can hear the wind in, like, my car and stuff, and when it's this windy. Outside temperature right now is about 63 degrees. Last night it got down to about 29, so when it has these huge swings in temperature, of course the wind is gonna be pretty substantial on days like today. So at my current speed, I'm going a little bit over 50 miles an hour, and the RPMs are at, it looks like around 12 or 1300 RPMs. The screen on the Sport is smaller, and it kind of looks like, but it looks good. I mean, it has a really good quality to it. It's just a smaller screen. Alright, so I'm going to get out on the highway now, but this highway, the speed limit is 70, so I'm going to kind of go accelerate a little bit. Now it is uphill on the ramp, but just kind of, I'm going to be quiet so you can hear the engine and transmission shift. Visibility is good. I mean, I can see in the blind spot. I change lanes really good. So I guess we're getting directly into the wind or something. I can definitely feel it, hear it. So I'm going 70 right now, and the RPMs are around 2100 RPMs. I'm setting the cruise at 70. Of course, it's in the 8th gear. And actually, I mean, that's a little, it seems like a little bit higher RPMs than my car. But of course it's a Wrangler, so you're going to have a different gear ratio in the rear end and all that stuff. As far as like other than the wind, as far as like just driving it, it feels like you're just driving a regular SUV. Now, my left leg is kind of against the door here, and my left foot is kind of, wanting a place to put, like a footrest or something. But other than that, it feels about like similar to driving other SUVs as far as, the overall feel to it. It is a little bit stiffer transmission, and it has since it has a stiffer transmission, it has a little bit of a bounce to it on the bumps. Steering wheel feels like mine in a way. It has a little soft to it. It's thick. I like a nice thick steering wheel. So that way when you're gripping it, you don't like dig into your buns or whatever. Alright, so we're just gonna go down here and turn immediately right. This little shortcut, a secret shortcut, so don't tell anybody. So this is a nice quiet back road. Now it does tend to wander a little bit, and I'm pretty sure that it has something to do with the wind, but it does wander as I'm driving, just kind of wandering around in the road. And it's hard to tell with that if the main thing is more than likely it's just the wind, but it feels like I don't know how to explain it other than it kind of wanders around on the road slightly. You might be able to tell me moving the steering wheel back and forth, over, kind of correcting for that. Now I've driven Wranglers before, and that has never been an issue as far as it wandering around randomly. It's always been solid, so I'm attributing that to all the wind. And this pattern on the underside of the, it's actually throughout the vehicle, but it's more prominent on the underside of the hardtop. I was wondering what that was, and people in the comments had mentioned that was one person said that it was a frost, like frost on a windshield, and another person said it represents forged carbon fiber. But I looked at forged carbon fiber, it doesn't really look exactly like that. It looks quite different, so I don't know if that's actually accurate or not, but so far the frost thing seems to make sense. I guess that's what it looks like, when you have a frosted windshield. So they got a jackhammer, so they're a good audio test here as far as keeping the noise out. We'll see how quiet this is when we go past the jackhammer over there. Well, I could hear it, but it wasn't that loud. I expected it to be a little bit louder. So yeah, I think just from my memory, as far as driving the previous four-door Wranglers and driving this one does feel, it seems quieter, but also it feels smoother on the road in just overall, and less. It's kind of more leaning towards the SUV rather than the Wrangler, because the Wrangler traditionally has been, I mean, they had leaf springs in the front, and they're traditionally been very rugged and not smooth riding necessarily. So this one is, I mean, the average person could probably trade in their SUV and get this. Now, the room, of course, would be an issue, I would think, with some people, but just normal driving, they would be able to make the transition fairly smooth, I think. So here we are back at the dealership. Okay, so there's the kind of a real-world test drive, and disregard all my subjective opinions, because it's all up to you as far as what matches your preferences and what doesn't. So whatever I like, whatever I don't like. I don't really dislike anything per se, because unless I'm because it has no bearing on my particular needs. Like, if I was going to buy a vehicle, then I look at it and how it matches my needs, and anything that doesn't match my needs would be a negative. But since I don't know everybody in the world's needs and preferences, then there's no negatives for me to actually comment on, just like there's no positives for me to necessarily comment on for you. So that's why I try to keep my videos as objective as possible. But anyways, this is the new Wrangler Sport, and I really enjoyed driving it. I think they did a great job on the design, exterior design. The inside is great. This is the first time seeing a more basic model. So this is, and when I say basic, I mean it has a remote start. It has, of course, cruise control. It has the volume, the controls here on the back of the steering wheel, which is fantastic. Of course, Bluetooth. It has a lot of auxiliary switches I'm seeing. Now that's probably, some of this stuff is options on the window sticker, but just overall, this one has a lot of features. Automatic headlights, home link. So if you hadn't had a chance to look around, I put a couple interesting items in the car, so if you want to look around and find those, rewatch the video if you haven't noticed them. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. And thank you to Vann Underwood for allowing me to drive this awesome Jeep.